What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And with Shang Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, that is now out in theaters. Simu Liu, Aquafina, and Toy Lane crushed it in their roles as Shang-Chi, Katie, and the Mandarin, Shang-Chi's father, who was the head of the Ten Rings or organization. And this movie was absolutely amazing, and it was incredible. It definitely had a lot of fighting scenes and vibes that I really enjoyed, and had the sense of the future of the MCU. And we actually got introduced to like a new hero to the MCU, which is Shang-Chi, who's going to be joining the MCU really soon in future movies. There's a future like for this character. So in this video, this will be my full review of Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, and go over its two post-credit scenes that sets up the future of the MCU and who is coming to the MCU in the future. But this review will contain actual spoilers from the actual movie. So if you don't want any possible spoilers, you should definitely click out this video now and go back to this video after you've seen the movie. But if you're still here, let's get into it. So within this movie, the whole plot and the whole purpose of this movie was for Shang-Chi leaving his past he thought he left behind, was to reunite with his father, because his father, which is the real Mandarin, wanted his son to take his place by his side of like a terrorist organization called the Ten Rings. And he was joined by his best friend Katie, who's been friends with them for like half his life, and that his father gave his son 10 years to live his life, so that's like half of his life. And he was wearing a necklace called a pendant, which his mother gave him during his childhood, so his mother told him with the pendant he could find his way back home. And he remember that he will always have the heart of the dragon, which is like a reference like later in like the third act of this movie. And like the only thing I really liked about this movie, like the concept of it, was the fighting scenes, you know, the vibes. I really liked the fighting scenes Shang-Chi was in, like including the bus fight between Razor Fist and his men. And then the fight scenes were like pretty incredible, especially the bus fight, which I really thought like it gave me, you know, like Jackie Chan vibes. And also the choreographer for this movie was actually the choreographer for Jackie Chan, who sadly you know passed away. But within this, like these fight scenes definitely gave me those like Jackie Chan vibes, as like Shang-Chi was like fighting all those bad guys on the bus and literally chopping a bus in half. Next, like Shang-Chi finds out after the bus fight that someone stole his pendant that his mother gave to him when he was a little kid, so he could find his way back home. And it has the heart of the dragon as well. And then like he finds out that like Razor Fist stole his pendant, and that might be going after his sister's Ling's pendant as well. So then he goes and wants to find his sister, who actually owns an underground fight club at which she and John owns. And in this, like we actually see some like people fighting. And then like Shang-Chi and Katie like take a look at the fight club with John, and like he says that those are low fights. And then they said like that they're gonna be fighting the ring cage fights. And we actually see like the first thing I realized that when I watched this movie was we actually saw like Abomination and Wong fight each other. And then so we know that Abomination was played by Tim Roth, who was also appearing next in like the Disney Plus series She-Hulk, and that he's returning as the Abomination from what we last saw him in 2018 Incredible Hulk. And we actually saw Wong in this movie as well. We also see him for just like the whole thing, like the movie, just for the fight scene. And now with Wong in this movie, there's definitely sets up Spider-Man No Way Home, but because we definitely saw in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer that Wong was there in the Sanctum, and then he left the Sanctum because he went to go and fight the Abomination. And with like Shang-Chi, like he signed up for, like not for those low level fights, but for those high level fights and like a cage match fight. Then like Shang-Chi like goes in there, but has to go fight someone shirtless. And when he realizes that like when he goes to fight someone, he's actually going to fight his sister silently, and which she's not too happy. To see Shang-Chi as he found her, and the two start fighting each other. And and then that's like we actually find out that like Shang-Chi left his sister Silent for 3 days, but I'll get into why he left her like later in this video. But like within this whole movie, we see a whole lot of fighting from like start to finish, and within this, like we actually like find out that the reason why Shang-Chi left his sister's signing for 3 days, which is actually a long time, was because like Shang-Chi's father wanted Shang-Chi to go after the man who killed their mother, which like later in the movie, when like Shang-Chi's father's plans was to terrorize their mother's village in order to do that, which is part of the plans to terrorize the mother's village after their mother died. And also in this movie, we actually get like a special appearance by like a Ben Kingsley, who played the main Mandarin back in Iron Man 3, but in this movie he has a lot long hair. It's actually not nicer, but as they arrive to the homeland where Shang-Chi is from, where the family is from, he reunites with his father because Shang-Chi's father wants his son to take his father's place as the new villain or the Mandarin in the Ten Rings or organization. And like the third act is absolutely incredible. There's like a lot of visuals and like a lot of fighting, and in this like a Shang-Chi and his father go up against each other. And when Shang-Chi's father is defeated, when Shang-Chi's father uses the Ten Rings, it glows blue. And when like Shang-Chi actually takes control of the rings for the first time, it turns gold, which is like referenced later in the post and in the mid-credit scene, which I'll get to later in a bit. But like we actually see like the third act of this movie was actually absolutely incredible. He was going to kill his father, and they say that the universe together, and in this like the ending was actually absolutely like heartwarming, and they pay like a farewell to their mother. And in the end, like we see like Shang-Chi and Katie having the same conversation as they had like back in the beginning of the movie with the same people they had the conversation with. And but this like unexpectedly like Wong comes out and like a portal and really interrupts their dinner and asks them to come to the sanctum to have a talk with them. And this was like kind of funny because Shang-Chi and Katie like left the restaurant to go and join Wong. And within the big credit scene, we get actually that they're actually in the sanctum. But not only are Shang-Chi, Katie, and Wong are in the sanctum, we actually see like special appearances by Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner and Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. And what's funny about this big credit scene is with Bruce Banner. He's actually in his cast because the last time we saw him in a cast was he was Professor Hulk in Avengers Endgame. So what happened there? Well, maybe with Bruce Banner and the same time, he probably asked like a Doctor Strange or Wong, or he asked him to turn back into his human form. So that's why he's probably in his human form is still wearing a cast. And this is like setting up Bruce Banner to be in the She-Hulk series, which we're going to see later down the line. And with Captain Marvel in it, this is actually setting up the Marvels. And with this, like she actually has long hair as she did in Avengers Endgame. She had short hair. And within this, like we actually see like there's like a golden beacon glowing, which is like sending a signal. And with beacon, this is actually Galactus, because as like Wong or Bruce Banner mentioned, it was a cosmic entity. So that means this big credit scene is actually teasing that Galactus is coming in the future of the MCU, and I can't wait to see Galactus in the future of the MCU. And when they realize that this is setting up Shang-Chi and Katie to probably join the Avengers in like a future Marvel movie, this sets up so much for the future of Shang-Chi and Katie. And now within this post-credit scene, we actually see that as Xylene is actually going to be in charge of the Ten Rings. When Razor Fist says to Xylene that the Raver, she's actually going to be in charge of the Ten Rings after their father's death in like the third act of the movie. And as we can see that she is expanding the organization with like all like genders, like females and males fighting, and she's gonna be expanding like even more. This sets up the future of the MCU, and it says that at the end the Ten Rings will return. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for the Ten Rings or organization, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for Shang-Chi and Katie as we welcome the newest Marvel hero in the MCU, Shang-Chi. And it sets up more for the future, including a Galactus, as well as a tease that he is coming because of the beacon that is sending the signal. This will probably be Galactus coming to the MCU. Yeah, so this movie and ending like the mid and post credit scene sets up so much more for the future of these characters. So that is gonna be it for my review for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below of what you thought of the movie and what would you rate it? Give me a rating between 1 out of 10. I gave it a 10 out of 10 as well. I really enjoyed this movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. To give this video a like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell for future videos. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter for all live updates. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.